Westeros!
Welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners with Arya 12 on deck. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Never had a bad day in my life.
Shut up. I mean, we said it last week, but yeah, it was Arya's back, right? Like, she's still alive. She made it.
Yeah, it was kind of spoiled that her name was at the top of the chapter.
Well,
But-
she could have been like a ghost. It doesn't mean,
Or a wolf.
freaky things could be happening.
That's true. But yeah, she's alive. Not much really happens this chapter. This will be one of the ones that I say is kind of like
I
a dud
agree.
one.
This is like the season of The Walking Dead where they're at the farm, right? Like, he like goes to this town for part of it and like helps them build a wall for a while. Like,
Yeah.
and like
The
nothing
farm
happens.
was cool, though, because I liked my guy.
Herschel, yeah, I didn't
Herschel
hate
was
it
the
either,
man.
but it's widely criticized. That's all.
There's a lot of good memes from that season, too.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Who is that? And it's Shane running. Like,
yeah.
Is that season two?
That's
Yeah, that's
a
season
good
two,
meme.
right?
Yeah, it's season 2.
And then the one that the zombie that gets ripped in half is in that one too. That one's pretty cool. Like falls into the well or whatever.
The little girl being in the shed. All spoilers right now. The little girl being in the shed was
Oh, shut up.
heartbreaking.
You're talking about they're talking about all the Walking Dead right now, not the chapter. Because every time I think you guys keep bringing it back to the chapter, I'm like, wait, a little girl in a shed? That wasn't in the chapter.
No, yeah, Walking Dead. Little girl in the shed was heartbreaking. Shane turning at the end and then him getting shot was great. The bucket hat guy dies. That was sad. So I'm gonna say this chapter is worse than season 2 of Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's kind of more the same for Arya. She's just like wandering the Riverlands.
I'll tell you
Still.
when The Walking Dead got bad is when everybody became a headshot master. Like they had their perks on. Bullshit. Everyone was aim assisting. Like they weren't even scared of the
It
zombies
got bad
anymore.
after that season, pretty much.
No, because then they'd go to the prison after that, and that
Which
was dope.
It was
Yeah, I mean,
And
I
then
didn't
they
hate
kind
it
of fucked with
for
the
a while,
governor.
but
After
yeah.
the governor, I was like, I
Yeah,
never
definitely
watched
kinda
that.
drug
the
out for sure.
But yeah, it's just samey. Not like Game of Thrones. Back on
I
it.
think we quit when Rick.
I think the last episode I watched was when Negan showed up, which I think is when like it turned back up too. But
I don't
Yeah.
know who Negan is.
All right, this is not a
He's the guy
Walking
with
Dead
the bat.
podcast, guys.
I keep trying to bring us back.
I'll bring us back. Oh yeah, nothing happens. It's just like, hey, Arya's alive. She's with the Hound. End scene.
Yeah, she
Where are
walks
we
to
going?
the Riverlands.
I'm sad.
That's kind of one of the main points is like, where are we going?
I mean, I thought it was
With
cool that
Arya.
we got a little bit more in like, you know, the Starks and their connection to these wolves, right?
Sure.
Yeah, Arya's dreaming about the wolves a lot. That's another piece.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I mean, it definitely feels like that's real shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. All right, let's just jump in. We'll see where it takes us.
Yep.
Arya is riding with the Hound. She feels a heavy hole in her heart, which is metaphorically she's missing her family.
Yes.
Her brothers, her mom, her dad.
She thinks everybody's dead. Most of them are dead. But yeah, Bran and
Yeah,
Rickon are
yeah.
I
still
mean, she's
alive.
not wrong, right?
Yeah.
And Sansa.
And Sansa. But she doesn't think Sansa's
But
dead.
yeah, Bran, Jon, and Sansa, that's a decent amount.
Yeah, so she's sad. The best parts of her days are the wolf dreams, which we've just mentioned. So
Exactly. She just wants to sleep all day.
it seems like she's trying to have a wolf dream every time she's going to sleep.
Or yeah, it just happens that she just doesn't want to wake up. She'd rather be in a wolf than in reality right now.
Which is kind of funny, right? Like, so Jojen is like super freaked out that Bran is gonna like just disappear into a wolf, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But here's Arya, who's like untrained and actively like super pumped about it.
Yeah, but Jojen lets Bran go for like days. The Hound only lets her go for like 8 hours or whatever.
I know, but like what I'm saying is like why wouldn't she stay in it? I guess is what I'm saying. Like if she has nobody controlling her like that.
Well, I think there's I'll say two things. One, Bran is actively working where she's dreaming.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
she's like getting kicked. It's kind of like Inception.
true.
Like she has a kick and she's waking up.
That's true. Jojen had to like teach Bran that he could do it like while he was awake.
Right. Like
Yeah.
it was a mind control thing. So
Yeah, that's
I think
fair.
it
Yeah.
is more of a dream to Arya.
Intent. Yeah.
And like she's not like eating. Like she probably still knows she has to eat and stuff like that. Like Bran was like enjoying eating and running as a like not that she's not, but like she's like okay to dream, and then like she's obviously depressed and miserable in her real life.
It's weird. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit here, but like it also like up until this point, it seemed like she never quite thought that it was like real, right? Like any of the wolf dreams was like actually a real wolf.
Yeah, she didn't really definitely.
Right. That was kind of my second point. It was like she. Well, I guess it's all my one point is that she thinks she's like literally dreaming, not like
Even though there was like some pretty strong evidence ones, like right, like when she first left Harrenhal, like when she first escaped, she was actually being chased by like some of the bloody mummers, and then she like they finally ride,
got fucked up, right?
And they finally decide like, okay, we have to rest after like riding straight for like 3 days, and she dreams as the wolf and like fucks them all up. Exactly, like fucks them all up. Like at that point, wouldn't she have been like, oh shit, it's real? Again, I don't remember if she ever had that thought. I always had this vibe that she didn't think it was like real. She thought it was more just dream. But later in this chapter, we get a hint that she's like, oh no, some shit I see in the dreams is real.
9, maybe 10.
Yeah.
Like even if she might just like be going to sleep, like man, I hate those bloody mummers that are chasing me, and wow, I really like being a wolf. And like, just think like she's like, man, that was a great dream.
Just a good dream.
Like
exactly.
Yeah. Like wow,
so it's hard to tell.
It's awesome. Like I have a great subconscious that it's dreaming super realistic stuff.
But I guess what he's saying though is like, wouldn't she connect that it actually happened?
Well, I don't know. She hasn't heard that.
It's not like she goes back to Harrenhal and knows that these guys.
It's not like they were like, oh yeah, bloody mummers got attacked by the pack of wolves while chasing you.
There's no newspaper.
Yeah. She has a horse this time. She's not riding side saddle. She's got a horse named Craven.
Yep. So we got Stranger and Craven.
Which was just kind of running around the fields. Must have ran away from the twins.
Yeah, that's why they named it Craven, right? Is because like it
ran away from the fight. It ran away from the battle at the twins, which wasn't much of a battle.
Yeah, I think Arya is projecting onto this horse a little bit, right? Like even with the name. Like the whole chapter, she's like, we got to go back. Let's go back and fight. Like she's talking about the hound, like, oh, have you lost your belly for fighting because you're afraid to go back and like try and save my mom? Like all she wants to do is go back and try and save him. But she had to run away. She kind of got forced into it. So I think she probably feels like a Craven. So she's like, she's in the same boat as this horse. They both ran away from the twins.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's why she gave the horse, like partly why that she gave the horse the name, because she feels like guilty.
And she's kind of pissed at people. I think she's like mad at Cravens too. Like I don't know. She just wants to say the word.
She says like I could never love
You're
a
all
coward.
Cravens.
Yeah, she's like I'm betraying my family is kind of how I see it. Like I kind of like what I think she's thinking there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, she was like, there comes a point though, right? Like where like retreat was obviously their only option. I mean, she learns that lesson. Kind of essentially at the end of this.
I agreed. I think at this point she would have been like, whatever, I'll go out on my shield. Like she's kind of like
what else is there?
Bold in that statement where like I don't know. I mean the hound knocks her out, so it doesn't like it's not like she has a choice, but
true.
Well, that's one of the things that like comes up pretty quick here. Is she's like now that I have this nice horse, it's like a good horse. Like it's like young and fast. She's like I might even be able to escape on it. But she's like, where the fuck would I even go at this point? Like everyone's dead. Like who the fuck am I gonna go to?
Nobody knows who I am anymore.
Like, am I gonna go to Blackfish? I don't even know him. He won't know me. Like she's considering going to like Lady Smallwood and the inn that she was like at. Like she's just like literally just like random.
Yeah, she wants to go back with Barrick.
Yeah, like her options are so slim right now.
Just one more thing too. If she did run into the twins, I don't know if they would have killed her. Like she didn't have a weapon.
No one would have known who she was.
Well,
she would have been like a servant person.
No, she would have came in. Well, they'd be like, "What the fuck's this little girl doing?" They'd be like, and she'd be like, "Mom!" Like if she found Catelyn's body, they'd be like, "Oh shit, who are you?" And they would take her. They would take her in prison and then marry her to somebody for the name, right?
I mean, wasn't there like a thing with like when Tywin was first telling everyone in King's Landing about the Red Wedding? I think he even said like, yeah, the plan was to keep like. Maybe even maybe not Rob, but maybe Cat. Like he was saying, like we wanted to keep more hostages than we could, but like Walter got overzealous. So I think you're right that they probably would have kept her as a captive.
Yeah, if they would have recognized her, which I don't know, she would have went in there fighting and like, who's this little North girl that's fighting us? I don't know if they could have done the math, but yeah. So Hound's definitely not keeping as close of an eye on her this time. Like she's depressed. She has a chance to run away or maybe kill him, but she's obviously not taking it. And yeah, she's like, where am I gonna even go? Like these people left me too. Like even who I thought were my friends, like they bounced on me first shot. I have no pack left. My pack is gone.
Yeah, when she like kind of thinks about the whole Barrack option, she's like, yeah, Hot Pie left me, like Gendry didn't really care, and he's like, and then she's like, plus like her thoughts are like, I could be an outlaw like this person Wenda the White Fawn, who we've actually heard of, like one of the people in the Night's Watch with Sam was talking about, oh, back in the days when I fought against the Kingswood Brotherhood or like was in the Kingswood Brotherhood, this was one of like the people that was mentioned. But so Arya is just saying like, I could be an outlaw like this person. She catches herself. She's like, I'm being stupid. I'm being like Sansa. Like, it's funny because Sansa thinks of different songs.
Well, doesn't the Hound even says that to her?
I think at one point a little bit later, yeah. But here Arya catches herself. But I think it's funny, like the different in Arya's story, she's like Robin Hood. Like the story Arya's telling herself is she's like Robin Hood. The story
she's
Sansa's
the
telling
hero,
herself,
yeah,
she's
like
Sleeping Beauty or like the princess or whatever, right? Like
getting saved by Florian.
Yeah, so it's like completely different stories, but the principle's the same. Like this isn't how the real world works. So she's like catches herself, like yeah, kind of what Jeff then gets to the point Jeff was saying. They're not my pack. None of these people were ever like my true pack. Which again, probably is why she likes these wolf dreams, because she does have a pack, like people who are like a big ass group of wolves that are always with her.
When that world seems to make sense too, right? Like she
Simpler.
growls, they obey.
Yeah.
She hides from humans. Like, you know, there's like things are easier.
Yep.
So I mean, we kind of been jumping around a lot here. So where do you think?
I'm in my notes. The next thing I have is the Hound's pretty angry.
Because like he's like, you're not worth anything anymore, right? Like there goes our payday.
So. I think so. Yeah.
Is that where you're at? I guess is
basically.
Exactly. He's like, I mean, maybe your aunt. This is kind of we get the first guess of where they're heading or hint of where they're heading. Which unfortunately, this is one I kind of like thought halfway into the chapter here. I'm like, I bet they're heading to there, and then of course they are.
Does he mention that this early?
What's that?
I don't have him mentioning going to the ant till a little bit later, but
yeah,
you're right. I'm sorry.
They stumble upon a dying man. Not that it really matters. Like we can cover it now, just so we're not all jumbled around.
Yeah, I have like one more point before we get to where they actually talk about where they could go, and it's just that they're hiding from everybody, and they run into the fallen Piper man who's like under the tree or whatever. He's dying, and he just gives us the story that we already know, that the Boltons had turned on everybody. Like the guy, he was cheersing with the Bolton man, and then that same guy stabbed him in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Next thing he knew, 1 minute they were best friends, and then the song played and it was over. You're right. I'm sorry, Nelson. This is this is kind of where he was hinting that they were heading away from the castle, I guess.
Oh yeah, I was just making sure we were all on the same page there.
Yep.
And I think she kind of knew that she was going east too. She knew she was going eastward, I think, is from notes, if my memory serves me correct. They gave the guy a little bit of water. They didn't have any wine. Hound stabbed him right through the heart, kind of like showed Arya this is how it's done. And then they raided him, and Arya got a dagger out of it.
Well, she does kind of think to herself, like, that's how you do it, right? Like, she's like, I've killed a man, essentially, is what she's thinking.
Well, I think it's like, this interaction's funny. He's like, do you have any, like, wine? And Hound's like, if I had wine, I would have drank it myself. And he's like, I can give you water and the gift of mercy. And he's like, okay, I'll take the water and the mercy too, or whatever.
Yeah.
Arya goes and fills up his helmet with
water.
Yeah, she uses his helmet as a
dead
pail.
Man water.
yeah, like from a stream. Yeah. He drinks the water, and then the Hound like easily kills this guy, even though he's sticking the knife through chainmail and leather and shit. He also says he's putting his weight behind it.
Yeah, he got a sharp dagger.
Well, I thought chainmails were pretty. I thought chainmail piercing was good against chainmail.
Yeah, I believe so.
Maybe better than slashing, but it's still like, it's not just piercing flesh. But I don't know. I've never stabbed a person with or without chainmail, so I can't tell you.
Fair enough. But I mean, we know how religiously he hones his weapons.
Yeah. Oh, also, this guy did recognize the Hound. So kind of like to Jeff's point, there's no ID, but there's like a few people like Tyrion, the Hound, that are pretty recognizable.
Oh, you're a huge
ID.
man with half of your face burned. Who could
literal
you be?
Two-Face from the Dark Knight.
Well, and he's been at like tournaments and shit too. He's pretty high profile.
He's literally like LeBron.
It's like Jamie.
And yeah. Like there's a couple of guys that you see at every tournament, or you stand next to the king. Interesting.
Yeah. So he kills the guy.
Yeah.
He tells Arya that's how it's done. And what were you guys saying? Arya was like, I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what Kyle was saying. They get some money out of him. They take some of his clothes. She gets a dagger. They move on. And in their travels, the Hound then was like, yeah, we're going to go to the Erie. That's the next stop to try to sell your ass. Like, maybe your aunt cares. And she's like, she doesn't even know me. Like, I don't even know her. I've never seen her. She won't care. But Arya just wanted to go back. This is their first mention of, like, I want to go back. My mom's still alive. She's holding on to hope.
Yeah, we didn't really know that she's dead.
Yeah.
And even the Hound is like, you're right. She might not be dead. That she might be captive. But like, what the fuck are we gonna do about it? You know what I mean? Like,
There's one of me. Yeah.
Yeah, 1.5 if you count her.
Yeah.
And then this is where the Hound's like, I thought your sister was the one with the head full of songs again, because she's like, rescue mission, we can do it. The Hound's like, no, you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
That's how you die.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, whatever. And they lay down to sleep, and she drifts off, hoping for a wolf dream, and it happens. So
Well, actually interesting here, when she calls him, she's like, you're a pussy, like you're afraid to die. He's like, I'm not afraid to die. I'm only afraid of fire.
he did say that.
He admits it. Like, I mean, we've been saying it, but like,
I thought he said that already before.
I feel like the Hound is just not somebody who would kind of like admit his fears in the open like that, even though it is super obvious.
I thought he said that to Sansa or something.
During the Blackwater,
maybe when he was drunk in her room after the Blackwater.
Yeah.
I know in the show during the Blackwater, he's like, "What the who the fuck picked fire?" Or like, "This is bullshit. Why fire?"
Yeah, I think he was mad at Tyrion too. He was saying that, but anyway, yeah. I mean, you're right. It is kind of they're definitely getting more candid with each other, right? Like they've been around each other for a while now, I guess is where.
It's weird because like you could say they're bonding a little bit here, but also like there's a point where Arya's like, yeah, we literally never talk like days on end without a single word between us, which doesn't mean you're not like bonding. Like you can have like a comfortability with somebody, like even if you're not talking.
Well, and she's like super depressed too, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't like a normal time period for her.
And the time that she does talk, he tells her to shut up. She's talking too much. I'm going to cut your tongue out and save you Silent Sisters.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And now here when she's talking saying he's afraid, he's like, I'm just going to cut your tongue out myself, save the Silent Sisters the trouble. And Arya thinks to herself, like, oh, he's just bluffing. Like, he wouldn't do it. He's just talking shit like Pink Guy used to. He's a guy who used to be in charge back in Harrenhal.
Yep. So let's get to this wolf dream.
Yep, then Wolf Dream.
Pretty much, she's the wolf. They're standing along the river.
Yep.
It's immediately clear what was happening here, right?
A lot of dead bodies along the river.
Yeah. The wolf smells of something.
Cat.
Yes, exactly. Like I
She
said, it
goes
was
to
immediately
bed
clear
thinking
what was
of
happening
Cat,
here.
and then she's like, oh, I can smell her.
Yeah.
And like that's how the dream starts, is like the wolf smelling Cat on the shoreline.
Exactly. So eventually the wolf goes and it pulls Cat out of the water.
Yep.
Then men show up and she leaves. And that's really kind of all the dream is, right? Like,
Yep.
she scares another wolf off and that. So then she wakes up and she's like, never mind, Hound. We're good. We don't have to go back. She's dead.
Exactly. So this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier, where Arya kind of comes to at least expresses, if I don't know how long she's believed this, but kind of expresses that at least some of what she sees in her dreams is reality.
Yeah. Saw it in her dream. She's dead. The Hound's like, okay. Right? Like, he's like, fair enough.
Yeah, you're like,
I don't know. It's kind of weird. He was understanding.
Yeah, I think he's pretty used to death and killing, right? Like, it's like, no.
Yeah.
also he like initiated that. He was like, this thing about your mother. Like, what would he have said if she didn't cut him off? Like, was he about to be sentimental?
I don't know,
or
man.
What would you call that?
Yeah,
Comforting?
he seemed like he was going to be nice.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not ordinary for the Hound. Like, this thing about your mother, straighten the fuck up, rub some dirt in it. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I think him not talking shit like that is him trying to be like, all right, sorry, kid. Like, let's move on.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think like I said, I think their relationship is growing here for sure. It's kind of neat.
I think I kind of agree, even though, like I said, they're not talking much. When they do talk, it's like in a different kind of different way.
Yep.
But
So
yeah.
is that all the dream? All the details we want?
Yep.
So woke up, knew she was dead, kind of came to grips, and then they come upon this village, and they are working on building a perimeter.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
They're building a big wall.
Big wall.
Big wooden wall.
A palisade is
Yep.
the word they use here. But yes, it's a.
And when I looked this up to make sure it's a wall, guess what? It's also like a car. It's like a Toyota.
Yeah, it's a
or something.
Hyundai.
So I just got a ton of pictures of.
Hyundai. I was just with some friends the other weekend, and someone was like, "Yeah, oh, they have the Hyundai Palisade. It's a great car." And I'm like, what the fuck did you just say? Palisade. And I'm like, it's Palisade. Come on.
It's Leviosa.
What are we talking about? Yeah. So
They pretty much tell him like, nah, man, like this place is fucked right now. Like there's clans everywhere out here.
well, yeah. Before that, Hound's like, hey, we should stay here.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but they're like, yeah, help us build the wall
and get some food. Like we need to eat, sleep, and
Rest
I'm
up
trying to
a
get
little.
drunk.
True.
So they end up hanging out, and in the meantime, that's when they start telling them like, hey, we're going to Erie, and then Kyle's like, no, we're not.
I mean, yeah, that's right here, right? Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
I skipped a paragraph.
Big paragraph.
Yeah, it's exactly. They're like these dudes are armed now too. like
Exactly.
this shit
So,
is
again,
scary out here. They're armed, they're experienced, and they're bold as shit. Right? Like they don't care anymore.
This is the result of Tyrion. This is the result of
for
Lannisters
sure.
paying their debts, keeping their promises, right? Tyrion promised these guys. And I think it's even funny, like we hear like, oh, the Burnmen are more fearless than ever since Timett, the One Eye, who we know as Timett, son of Timett, who was like the Burnman that was with Tyrion for a lot of the time. Like now that he's back, shit's just popping off. So like,
Oh yeah,
I
that's
think
what I'm
it's
saying.
cool
They're
that it's
bolder
like-
than ever. Yeah.
But it's like the guys that we saw in all these chapters with Tyrion, just like being funny, right?
They're back. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they're attacking villages nearby, only 8 miles away.
And it's cold. Right? It's like getting cold up there.
Yeah.
And it's getting cold. Yeah.
And the Hound only has an axe.
Well, he trades it at the end, but yeah, he has an axe at the moment.
Yeah.
But
At
yeah.
this point, he doesn't have shit to fight with.
Yep. But yeah, all of them. He says all the different clans. Also, it's the first time we hear of one of these clans, Sons of the Mist. That's kind of a badass clan, like name for a clan. They say Stone Crows, Milk Snakes. We've heard of them before. Sons of the Mist. Pretty sweet.
that was
Those guys
something
are
I
definitely
noticed.
cannibals, right? It's like that sounds like a scary movie where
yeah.
you like veer off a road in the
It
woods
sounds
and
like
you're just
it,
getting
yeah.
eaten by cannibals now.
The mist isn't good. Anytime there's mist, remember that there was that one year the mist moved.
Mist is
The
cannibals.
mist came out, the fog came out. Just like any bad weather, you were fucked in the horror movie.
Yeah.
You
Low
don't want that shit.
visibility. You're screwed.
Exactly.
All right.
At one point, the village elder refers to Arya as the Hound's daughter. He's like, "Oh yeah, you can kill if." Basically, he's saying you can't go on. He's like, the Hound's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go on, go to the high road, whatever, get to the Erie." And he's like, "You can't. Like, it's dangerous. First off, you might kill a few, but like at the end of the day, they're gonna kill you and take you and your daughter." And Arya thinks that she wanted to yell that she wasn't the daughter, which she has. Right, this is the thing that's definitely happened before. I'm not his daughter. Blah blah blah. But here she's just like, whatever, I don't care. And she goes to this list like, I'm no one's daughter now. I'm not Arya. I'm not Weasel. I'm not blah, blah, blah. I'm
All
not.
these
She goes to the
names.
list. Nan, Ari, Squab, even Lumpyhead. I'm no one now. Just a girl who ran with a dog by day and dreamt of wolves by night.
Well, and I mean, this goes back to like even her aunt isn't going to recognize her or know who she is. Her uncle isn't going to know who she's got her worldview is just shrunk, right? Like to nowhere. Like she's got no out. And
So yeah, exactly what we're saying earlier. Like she has some relatives, but they're not relatives she knows. Like, would they even know if it was her? Like, if she came up and said, "I'm Arya," would they believe it?
and her value, right? I mean, I know the name still matters, but there's not really that many Starks left anyway. So like,
She's almost more trouble than she's worth.
yeah, exactly. Like she is, like I said, I hate to say no value, but like her name, like Winterfell's gone. Like what
No,
could be
it's
hers?
kind of like Dany and Viserys probably were like after all the shit happened and like Westeros was settled. So
Except
like,
they were more driven, I think, to restore what they were, I guess. Like they were constantly trying to find that
from nothing.
that power, where she's like, yeah.
So it's like if Dany shows up to Illyrio, like however that works, when Dany and Viserys showed up to Illyrio and they're like, "Hey, help us," he's helping like on a long shot, right? Like on a long shot chance that something like turns out and we somehow win this thing back. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's not that risky of a venture. I think Arya would be the same thing at this point. It's like, well, Winterfell doesn't exist. Like, even if it did, you have an older sister who's married to a Lannister now. That's the other side. Everyone else in your family's dead. Like, helping you, not that it would be like a risk, but it's like there's really there's no benefit in it other than loyalty to family.
All right, so the Hound gets a little soft. He's like, man, I kind of like it here. I kind of like building shit. And old man's like, nah.
I know this is a really strange turn of events for him, right?
I would tend to agree.
Before that, there's a part where there's a little girl that's following
Who cares?
Arya
She had a
around.
little doll.
Yeah,
she was
not really
she was
important,
annoying as fuck.
Not really important.
Arya's
She's
a
annoying as
menace
fuck.
and
Arya
just
takes
rips
her
his
doll.
doll up. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up
Yeah.
from Arya, right? Like this is just some little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she calls it Sir Soldier, and when Arya rips it up, she's like, "There, now it looks like a
Now
real
it's an actual soldier. It's dead.
Yeah, guts are coming
that was,
out. Yeah.
The other thing that this makes me think of is, haven't we heard like how the Hound got his scar?
Yeah, the toy soldier that gets thrown in the fire, right?
Yeah, he took his brother's toy soldier and was playing with it, even though he said like Gregor was too old to even play with toys. He didn't even care about it. So I don't know if it really matters, but it's again kind of like a weird
Callback.
Don't play with toy soldiers.
Not that Arya like pushed his girl's face in a fire.
Yeah.
So she mentioned it's like she just hates this village. Like she saw them as cowards. Kind of goes back to the horse and like just everybody that betrayed her.
Yeah, they're just hiding in here, right?
And the Hound's like, we might want to stay here. And then right as he thought that, old man's like, nah, y'all got to get the fuck out. Winter's coming. We ain't got no food for y'all.
And we know who you are. And you don't bring peace with you.
You're a bad man.
Yeah, which is like kind of fucked up, right? Like they've been using him the whole time.
Yeah, little quid pro quo there.
I mean, he was getting wine and shelter, so
yeah.
But yeah, they could have told him early on.
He did get paid, and he got an old rusty sword out of it.
Well, the elder also, he's like, you might need a dog when
to protect you.
Shit starts popping off here.
If the clansmen come down, like you'd want me here.
And this guy's like, yeah, well, we heard you're a pussy. We heard you don't like fighting anymore.
You don't got the belly for it. That's a bold statement to say to this guy.
He's like, I know. He's like, they say ... And the Hound's like, I know what they say. He's like, whatever. Give me my money. We'll get the fuck out of here. So they do.
Fuck you, peeps. Pretty much.
I wouldn't have been surprised if the Hound just like chopped his ass up with an axe with that. Like, you're coming at my character. Like, now your house is mine.
Yeah. Let me prove it.
I don't know. That still seems extreme for him.
It's also interesting that Arya calls him on it too. When she saw him kind of popping off at the twins, like he was.
Well, and he fucked her up too, right?
I mean, she's a little girl, but like he was axing people at the twins. He lost his sword in a guy. That's why he doesn't have a sword anymore.
Yeah.
It was in a guy. So
he was going off, yeah.
He didn't lose his belly for fighting there.
But she says he does.
I just think it's interesting that like if he actually had lost his belly for fighting, you might see somebody like if he was like just afraid of everything now. Maybe that's why he's backing down to this like accusation. I'm saying I don't think that's why. I think he's turning the other cheek. He's like letting the insults come and not killing this guy.
Like I said, I think he knows better now, right? Like I think he's like, yeah, okay, I'm done. They're growing. How's that? Right? Like he's done with that part of his life.
I just think it's like interesting because like I feel like he's treating these guys way nicer than like even the chapter before the Red Wedding, right? They cross a ferry and he doesn't like kill the guy or like punch the guy or anybody, but like a guy dies helping them cross the ferry, and he's like, "Go fuck yourself for the payment," pretty much.
Oh yeah,
like, I just feel like he was being way more like brisk or.
Well, this is growth. That's what I'm saying. Like he's changing.
Yeah.
But he's been on the road with Arya for this long and all that. Like I feel like he's, changing.
Yeah, no, I get it. I agree. I guess I'm trying to give a comparison to show that more. Juxtapose it. Big word.
Too big of a word.
Yeah, that's fair.
So they bounce, and the Hound is like, "All right, where should we go? Maybe we can't go to the Eyrie. Maybe we should go to River Run, where your uncle the Blackfish is." And Arya is now like, I think now that she's accepted that she doesn't care about going back to the twins because her mom's dead, she's like, "No, why would we go there? Like that guy doesn't know me either. Like what the come on? Like
he doesn't know me. I don't know
use
him.
Use your brain, Hound."
It's the same problem with Lysa though. Like no one's gonna know Arya. Yeah. You just gotta hope that she like looks enough like Kat, which is it sucks because she's like the one that we hear looks the least like Kat.
Yeah, she's a stark face.
Dark hair, gray eyes. Yeah.
So Arya's like, "Hey, I do know one person that knows who I am. He calls me little sister, and he tussles my hair, and I like him." She doesn't come out and say that, but my brother Jon is at the wall.
Jon Snow.
Take me to the wall.
Take me north.
And the Hound's like, you know how much shit we have to get through to get there? Like, we got to go through the phrase again. We got to go through literal swamps, and then all the whatever the hell's going on in the north with the Ironborn.
One, and I don't know why she thinks the Hound's in it for her, for some reason.
Exactly.
Like
John can't ransom her.
the Hound's in it for the Hound, right? Like yeah,
But John would take Arya, but he's not going to give the Hound anything.
yeah.
Like
That's what I'm saying.
attaboy.
Like I don't know what she thinks.
They'd be
Like,
like, "Oh, thank you so much. Would you
Yeah.
like to wear the black and help defend the wall with us?"
I mean, I guess unless the Hound wanted to take the black, but
I think that'd be a cool.
fit.
That'd be a cool. Yeah, exactly. A good fit. Like a cool storyline. I think.
yeah.
The Hound is the Night's Watchman. I'm gonna use that as my prediction. How about I say they end up going north and the Hound joins the
I like it.
Night's Watch.
The other thing I've been like flirting with saying, 'cause it's like kind of spoilery, but whatever, I'm gonna say it anyways. Like the other thing I get with like the Arya the Hound vibe is I get a little bit of Duncan Egg vibes.
A little bit.
I only think that's spoilery because like we haven't really seen Duncan Egg on the road yet. Like we kind of seen
Not at
them
all.
meeting and hanging out at the tournament, but like the next two books are them like kind of being a hedge knight more on the road, where it's more similar to this. So I think there's more parallels to Duncan Egg in the second two Duncan Egg books, which is the only reason I'm saying it's kind of spoilery. But I definitely get like a Duncan Egg vibe from these two.
Cool.
Wow, way to spoil Kyle.
Definitely not 100% because the Dunk is obviously way nicer than the Hound.
He gives the
but it's a little
egg
bit.
clout to the ear every now and again.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. But yeah, the Hound basically laughs off the idea of going to the Night's Watch.
And then she calls him a yellow belly. Is that the term?
She says he lost his belly for fighting. Yellow belly is what
That
they
is
say.
a term. Did she say that?
I don't think she ever says it, but that's what they say in Back to the Future.
That's I just didn't want to say that she didn't have the belly for it again. I was trying to be a little bit smart.
I got you.
Isn't that scared? That's scared, right?
Yeah, same
Yeah.
thing.
Chicken. Yeah.
You know what movie character would get really pissed off if you would call him a chicken?
Marty McFly.
Wow, Nelson, right out of the back hip.
I just said they say yellow belly that pisses Marty McFly off in the old timey Back to the Future movie.
I didn't hear you say Marty McFly.
I said Back to the Future, but that's
I didn't hear you say that either. I wouldn't have
You
asked
did.
the question if you said that. So let's cut that out.
But yeah, so the chapter kind of ends with, again, I think the Hound kind of pulling his punch because she's like, what, you're afraid to go to the wall because you lost your belly for fighting? Because she says she's heard the same thing or been thinking of it the whole time too, but she was afraid to say it. Because he got a new sword, he traded his axe for a sword, and he's been cleaning it. And she's like, if he's lost his belly for fighting, why does he keep cleaning and sharpening the sword? But she kept her mouth shut.
She does say he doesn't talk like he's lost his belly for fight. Like she thinks that
exactly.
at some point.
Yeah.
Like she does notice that. Like, well, I think I have a right to still be afraid of this dude. Like he ain't no bitch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. But when he says no to the wall, she's like, "What, are you afraid? Maybe you actually have lost your belly for fighting." Which again, here you think like Arya's getting a smack or hit with the side of the blade again or like something, and she says like, "Oh, it looked like he was gonna hit her, but the rabbit they were cooking was ready, so he just got that off the fire instead and tossed half of it to her." And he's like, "There's nothing wrong with my belly, but we're going to, but I have a brother too." That's how it ends. Yeah.
Which is a weird line, right?
Yeah.
You think I give a shit about your brother? I have a brother.
And he's a piece of shit.
We know they don't get along.
So
Yeah.
all right, Kyle, where are we taking it from here?
Yeah, I mean, I hope he goes to the wall, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't know. So I hate to say it, right? But like, there is a point actually. Or I guess I need to preface with this. There's a point in the chapter we didn't talk about where she does say like, "Man, I am just always fucking headed to River Run. Like I can't keep fucking going to fucking River Run. Every time I try to go to River Run, shit goes wrong and it just gets worse and worse. Like I got to go somewhere else." So I feel like that's kind of where he wants to take her still, but
Yeah, I feel like
she's
that's
not
where
going to let it happen.
Yeah, I felt like that was kind of the goal destination by the end of the chapter is River Run.
I've been going to River Run for 3 years. It feels like.
Yeah, exactly. So like I think she's gonna try and escape is what I don't know, this their relationship's weird, right? Like it feels like it's just getting good, but at the same time I feel like it's kind of run its course too. There was like points during this chapter where I kind of felt like that, where it was like, I don't know, they were getting on each other's nerves too much or something, but I don't know where I was going with that. I guess I was just justifying why I was thinking like maybe they separate for a little bit and she heads north and he like has to chase her down or something like that, and then they end up going north kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So
Cool. I like it.
it's a roundabout way to get there. But
Well, chalk this shit up.
Sounds good. Well, we'll see Kyle in the next one for Tyrion.
Tyrion 9, throwing 9 out there pretty confidently. You would think Nelson would start writing this down at like the end of his notes
9.
for a Wow!
Damn.
Get at me.
Look at that. Good job, dude.
Good guess by
Good
Jeff.
job, dude.
Thanks. That's why I got my nickname in the Discord.
The talent. And yeah, so we'll see Kyle in that one for Tyrion 9. We'll see the rest of you guys in the spoiler section for Arya 12. This one.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Bye,
See you on the next one
Kyle.
for Tyrion 9. Good Tyrion one. It's a long one, but I think it like encompasses even some of the trial. It's all pre-trial and then some of the trial. Then the next
That's
one
a lot,
might be Mountain Viper. I mean, all that shit's this book, so a lot of stuff going on for Tyrion the rest of the way. But we're here to talk about Arya.
Dude, the Mountain Viper is one that Kyle's just not gonna like. He's gonna be like drop his jaw, I think, when he reads that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like the Oberyn is like feels like he's being set up as a really cool like character for like the future, and like he is very close to
just
being
like
done. Yeah, exactly. So
So I have one question.
go ahead.
I don't remember them not trying to get to the Erie. Like I actually have no idea what happened next. I know at some point she's taking the ship to Bravos. Like, does the Hound trip and fall? Like, he doesn't fight Brienne.
And next
right?
is one of the things, again, I think the show does a little bit better just because it has that really good line where the Hound's like, I think of one more word comes pouring out of your cunt mouth. I'm going to have to eat every fucking chicken in this room. They go to the inn. They meet a bunch of the Mountain's men. They get into a fight. Arya gets needleback.
Right.
The Hound gets injured, but kills they win the fight, but the Hound gets injured. And then I think by the end of the chapter, the Hound is like falling off his horse. Can't go on. Asks for the gift of mercy, and she's like, fuck you, takes his gold and leaves.
And then she heads to the port, I'm assuming.
Then she ends up in like Maiden Pool or something. Yeah, exactly. Somewhere near a port city, Duskendale, maybe.
Somebody says, I'm going to Bravos. She's like, hey, I'm going
She's like, take me to the wall. And they're like, no, fuck you. We're going north. Or we're going to Bravos. And she's like, can this get me a passage? And he's like, if you swab the deck or something. And she's like, deal. And
yeah.
Something like that.
Gotcha.
Might not be exactly. But along those lines, I feel like some of that, like, that future or storyline is like the whole in Bravos, no one stuff is foreshadowed here.
That was my one, like, actual note was when she's already calling herself no one to, like, the point where.
So I think this is the first time she ever refers to herself as no one. But when she goes through that whole list of all the different aliases she's had, Nan, Squab, Lumpy Head, I'm no one now. Yeah.
Yeah, which to the point, like obviously to the point of like the spoiler, is she's trying to actually become no one. Like in her heart, I think she kind of already believes it to the point where when it comes to the trial, I guess, like the final test, like are you actually no one? She kind of could believe it, right, without shedding her starkness, but Yeah,
in this sense, I feel like no one being as in like I don't belong anywhere. I am no one. There's
sure.
And that's kind of the realization she has this chapter. It's like, where the fuck am I going to go? Lady Smallwood, Acorn Hall, really the place I belong now? Fuck it, I am no one.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is kind of like she can answer that question in a different way. Like I'm not your kind of no one. I'm no one to.
But she can beat the Telegraph. She can beat the live. Game of Faces. Yeah, exactly. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Yep. That's all I really had about this one.
So the no one, but also the Hound kills this guy, right? And he's like, I can give you two things: water and mercy. And mercy is kind of like the whole thing of faceless men.
Who was that in the show?
I think it's just some random guy. I think it goes pretty similarly.
They just come up on a sick person or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think he gives the whole like,
He wasn't a Piper.
Piper, yeah, Piper, Pink Maiden. Because their sigil is a naked maiden with like dancing with like white silk. So like that's where the whole Bolton joke. Oh, red man and pink maiden. But yeah, I don't think he's necessarily a Piper or anything. I don't think those lines are necessarily in the show. But it's the same type of thing where he's like, oh, I wish you had wine, and the Hound's like, yeah, I wish I had wine, fucking too. And he's like, all right, kill me, and he tells a story or whatever. But yeah, I think it's pretty similar. Again, I think both times it's setting up the whole. This is the kind of the faceless men's claim is we give the gift of mercy to those who want it, and then we also kill people who get paid to get killed. That's the flip side. We don't know exactly how it works in the books, but that's how it works. We'll say that's how it works in the show, and that's how it's implied how it works in the books too. Besides those two things, we have the Nymeria dream.
Yeah.
I think when I read this the first time, it was less obvious that this was actually Kat. On a reread, it seems pretty obvious that it's exactly what they're talking about. Even Arya, like when she wakes up, saying like, "Oh no, it's Kat."
Yeah, I don't think I read that at all thinking the first time that was Kat. Like, no clue. And I'm just like kind of motoring through it, and I'm like, okay, white body.
Again, we maybe should have talked about it more in the non-spoiler as it being like, oh, that's sad that Arya had to endure this vision of her pulling her own dead mom's body out of the river. Also, it kind of verifies that Kat, we've heard that Kat's body was thrown in the river. How would we know if that was true? We weren't actually there after her death. This kind of verifies it. Obviously, the important part here is she becomes Lady Stoneheart. Also interesting, at the very end of that dream, Arya says like they got scared off Nymeria, as Nymeria, they got scared off because men approached on wings, black wings, yellow wings, and pink wings.
Is that just like their capes, like flying?
Yeah, exactly. So that's their capes. But we have black, yellow, and pink capes.
Oh, it's Lemoncoat and Dundarian and Thoros. Is it?
Yeah, exactly. Black would be Dundarian, Lemoncloak would be yellow, and Thoros would be pink. So it's them showing up, which we hear in the Brienne chapter after they get captured. This is long. This is in the Feast of Crows now. When Brienne gets captured by them, they're like, "Yeah, we basically found her." Barrett told me. Thoros is Thoros talking. Barrett told me to give her the kiss of life. I told her no, she's too far gone. So Barrett did it instead, and she woke, but Barrett died, or Barrett didn't, or whatever. So that's kind of how this goes. And Arya, it seems like it's right on the heels of this. Right, Arya pulls her out. These guys show up, and bang, this is happening. So we don't see that happening as Arya, but this is the exact time she's getting resurrected. Also, I think in that time, in that Feast of Crows chapter, we hear that this is just a few days after the Red Wedding, that when all this happened. So that dream that Arya had was pretty recent. So the chapter starts like pretty much on the heels of the last Arya chapter. I didn't want to go into the timeline stuff because it's kind of based off that future. Not because it doesn't matter, because it's based off that future chapter. But the chapter starts pretty much on the heels of the Red Wedding. And it seems to go pretty long, right? We don't know how long they stay, how long it takes them to get to that village in the Vale, like on the outskirts of the Vale. We don't know how long they stay there, but probably like a month or so. But yeah, so kind of cool stuff. The other thing is I think there's like some symbolism maybe. The wolf pack, like that, in the dream, right? There's a part where like she's talking about the wolf pack were eating cold flesh, but like when they come, it scatters crows, and the one wolf jumps and grabs like an actual crow. And Arya's like, oh, she was envious because like hot meat is better. I'm just wondering if this is like symbolism for eventual fight against the others. Just because in that dream there was like a lot of talk of like, oh, eating this like cold dead flesh isn't fun. I'd rather eat the crows. And again, I feel like others would be eating the cold dead flesh. So if the wolf pack ever has to fight against like the whites, it's kind of like that. Also, we have Bloodraven doing whatever the hell Bloodraven's doing. Whatever it is, it involves crows. So will the wolves also be fighting against and eating crows? I don't know, but seemed like kind of weird.
I'm not taking too much of a chunk out of that one, but I get it. I see what you're.
It was just because like when I put I took the whole dream as a quote and put it in my notes, and then I looked and I was like, this is like a page and a half of quotes, and then I like boiled it down to like actual note points, and it was kind of like what Kyle said. There was like 3 bullets. It was like, yeah, we pull the body out, men come.
She had her throat slit, men are coming.
But there's a whole lot of like, oh, there's bodies, we don't like the cold flesh, but it's not like anything that actually matters, so like not worth talking about. But I'm like, okay. So normally when I see a big bunch of text that there's no importance in, I'm like, what? I'm just missing the importance. So that's when I start thinking symbolism stuff. But again, who knows? Maybe we're looking too far into that one.
Yeah, I think you're reaching a bit. But
the last one I kind of had symbolism-y point was this whole village thing. The Hound shows up, helps build a wall, and then gets kicked out.
And then he becomes the gravedigger.
I'm just thinking that's kind of like a wildling story arc, right? I don't know if the wildlings help build the wall, but we built this wall, and then some people get kicked out. You're not allowed it on the side of the safe side of the wall or whatever.
I don't think that they actually help build their own wall, but
I mean, like for example, I think I kind of mentioned in the recent John chapter, like I was joking about it, like all these giants deserve to die because they were born on the wrong side of the wall.
Yeah.
Like that's really the only reason that we're killing all these giants in this fight.
I got you.
I think we have heard that the giants were helped make the wall. So the giants helped make the wall. Now they're all stuck on the outside of it, dying, trying to get past the thing that their ancestors
Yeah, but they
helped
wanted
make.
to be. They wanted to be on that side. I feel. I think the more curious deal is that the Hound was almost like, "Hey, we should stay here," and that kind of, if he is the gravedigger guy,
he's like ready to put down a sword and set up shop. Yeah,
he was looking for a spot to like settle in.
It's interesting too. Like when you think about the Hound in the show, a lot of people think like, oh, him as the gravedigger is kind of like him when he like after he's dead and comes back. Remember that first time like he's back and you like see him he's chopping wood or whatever.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
With what's that guy, the famous actor, whatever. They're building the sept. You know what part I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's I don't know his name. I'm just trying to think of something that he's in. But yeah, I do.
But a lot of people think that part is like that part of the show is him. Is like kind of mirrored him on the Quiet Isle as the gravedigger. But I could also see that part of the show being him mirrored in this scene, right? Where he's helping a town build a wall and that guy is the village elder instead of the elder brother, which is the guy who is at the Quiet Isle.
Okay.
Not that it super matters. Again, it's one of those things where the chapter feels like such of a dud chapter that there's got to be some symbolism in there somewhere. And to me, I'm thinking it's got to be something to do with building this wall and the wolf pack in the dream. But again, I don't know too much more than that. I gave you my ideas, but that's all I had.
Yeah. No, I don't. The only thing I had was her saying that she was no one. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of foreshadowing her too for Arya's future storyline.
Yep. So, all right.
Yeah, we'll let you guys go. We'll see you guys in the next one for Tyrion 9.
Is it 9? Your second guess.
You were the one that said 9, and then I looked, and it was right?
Yeah, because I'm a god.
Yeah, correct. Actually correct this time.
Bye.
See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you.